Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, welcome in. It's the week after mandatory minicamp, and it's the final week of Vikings off-season workouts, right? Because this is the OTAs are going to be this week.
Yep.
Are any of these open to media this week? OTAs?
Yes, Wednesday.
Okay.
Wednesday, and I think they're scheduled to be on the field today as well. But yes, Wednesdays will be the final. It will be the final access to the Vikings before the opening day of training camp, which we still don't have yet. For those who are curious, that will probably come out in the next week or so, or 2 weeks. The opening of training camp.
Yeah, and that's where you're going to be able to track down the sports dad Judd Zulgad, the star of Score North TikTok, for photo ops, 90, for autographs. Yeah. SPF 4,000. Yeah. You know what? These camps, it's June, it's windy. I mean, there's some sun involved, but training camp is where you really, really practice the all-important Zulgadian skincare routine.
Yeah. Wednesday's going to be hot, too. I think 88.
I got to get the air conditioner in the windowsill.
What do you mean? You guys don't have air conditioning?
We don't have central air.
I thought you said you're gonna have to get air. You're gonna have to get an air conditioner for this.
Oh no, I said I'm gonna have to get the air conditioner, which is in our basement in the windowsill.
Oh, you have to go put it in for the winter. Is that how that works?
For the summer, yeah.
For the summer, I mean,
yeah. Yeah. We don't have central air, and our house is so covered by shade from trees. Unless it gets humid, it doesn't get that hot. But when it does start to get muggy, then yes, the air has to go into the window. Old school thing. But those things are so light now, those air conditioners. When I was a kid, those things weighed 1,000 pounds. They were so freaking heavy, and now it's not that bad.
Like the one, was it Happy Gilmore where didn't an air conditioner fall? Was that Happy Gilmore?
Mista Lady? I think I just killed her.
They can fall out of windows. Yeah, there's that. That's a real thing.
Okay, we have the first 53-man roster projection here. Now that Judd has been observing minicamp, the OTAs, we're past the draft and free agency. Judd's going to take a stab. Look at those handwritten notes.
I got cuts. I've got guys
What's
making
that line?
I've got notes.
What's that line that goes
That's
across?
the line between the 8
the haves and the have-nots,
and the five defensive linemen, because it runs right up against it. Because in my initial projection, I forgot Dalton Reisner, and I had to put him back in.
Okay.
Obviously.
So we'll get right into that here after we say hello to our friends at Quick Trip, Judd.
Yes, you know what? When it comes to first round picks, sometimes it can be difficult. Sometimes you're not sure, but when it comes to first round picks of convenience stores, which are so much more, this is a slam dunk. Number one overall is our friends at Quick Trip. Why? Well, first of all, I told you the story a couple of weeks ago. I'm in a Quick Trip, and I'm looking to pick up some lunch, and a nice lady from Quick Trip comes up and says, "Do you have a coupon?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Hold on a second. I'll get you one." Instant savings, right? But then let's say that you don't want to go into Quick Trip and you basically need a grocery shopping trip. Quick Trip has their select order ahead in your Quick Rewards app. It takes care of everything. You can take care of course, the payment ahead of time. Orders can be picked up in store or brought to you in your car curbside. Be sure to look also for additional fuel savings by ordering ahead. I'm talking about a first overall pick. I'm talking about your Quick Trip will leave you satisfied.
Where are we starting here? Offense or defense?
Oh, it's going to start on offense.
Okay.
That's going to start with the lead. So we're going to go, quarterback, running back. I even got a fullback, of course, because of our guy.
Spoiler alert.
CJ Ham. Well, yeah, but let's start with quarterback. Let's start with, and I'm going to give you the guys that are in and the guys that are out, okay? So at quarterback, we're going to have the Vikings keeping 3 for now. And by the way, I'm basing everything on what I did see, and I obviously did not have the opportunity to keep a close eye on every position, but I'm basing this on what I saw in the minicamp and also how things are playing out right now. So we'll do this again because clearly it's subject to change. So I'm not predicting, I think McCarthy's going to have a great camp. I'm predicting I think McCarthy is going to be brought along slowly. If that changes, I'll change. All right. So at quarterback, Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy, Nick Mullins
Okay.
make the team. Jaron Hall is out, but as I told you guys when I ran this by somebody last week, they said that there's probably a pretty good chance Jaron Hall can be snuck onto the practice squad, that he might not get claimed, okay? But Darnold, McCarthy, and Mullins as your 53-man roster quarterbacks.
So basically, Jaron Hall playing terribly in his first sampling of regular season football could lead to them sneaking him onto their practice squad. Because if he had showed anything in one game as a starter,
well, he'd be the backup then. Like he'd be so Mullins would almost certainly be out. But Jaron Hall, you don't necessarily and you shouldn't trust completely. So yes, if Jaron Hall had played really well, then it's Darnold, McCarthy, Jaron Hall.
So they're not going to get a draft pick for Jaron Hall. So a couple things. They're not keeping 4 quarterbacks, obviously.
Right.
They probably can't get a draft pick for Jaron Hall.
Right.
But they might be able to get a draft pick for Nick Mullins if they decide to trade him. But then you open up this other question of, not that we fully trust Nick Mullins, but you know that he can go in and throw for 400 yards in an NFL football game, right? Like, you know that Nick Mullins can make throws in your offense with 5 really bad interceptions sprinkled in over 2 weeks.
You trust him more.
But right now, we don't even know if J.J. McCarthy or Jaron Hall are trustworthy QB2 backups, which is why right now Nick Mullins is on the team, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So those 3 make the team. And I think the way to think of this is instead of Mullins or Hall, I think the way to frame this up is everything that they are going to do is going to be with J.J. McCarthy's best interest in mind. So Nick Mullins, you trust more now. And if that changes in training camp, we'll tell you. But for now, those are your 3 quarterbacks.
Okay.
I also, for the most part, went off what they kept at the final cut downs last year positionally. Okay. So I did make one change there, but I thought that was probably an indicator of what direction this coaching staff has its tendencies to go in. So running back, 3 active roster guys: Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler, Kene Nwangwu for now. That leaves Dwayne McBride being cut, Myles Gaskin being cut.
Yeah, Gaskin's just kind of a guy, like a journeyman guy. And McBride, could you go year 2 on a practice squad there? No one's going to claim him on a 53, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think that one, unless they add a guy to compete with Kene, which is entirely possible, I think that is about as easy as it gets in cuts. Because, Gaskin, if you want him back, guess what? You can get him back. Dwayne McBride.
Just like last year.
If you want him back, you can get him back. Exactly right.
Okay.
And then also, as alluded to before, from the offensive backfield, C.J. Ham is your fullback, the new secret weapon from what I saw in minicamp.
He's 31 years old now?
Caught the seam route, took it for a touchdown. I mean, you tell me what he can't do.
I'm not going to disrespect him by actually telling you what he can't do. I'm glad that he's on the team. He's a very nice guy. He's one of us. He's a Minnesotan.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
And I think they had aspirations for what... I think they wanted him to play more snaps last year. Based on his snap count kind of early. And then they just kind of, instead of running a lot more 12 personnel, which they did, they kind of went back into the 3 wide receiver sets. And what's tough is... CJ Ham is probably not. Well, Aaron Jones is here now, so he checks this box. But last year, CJ Ham was your most trustworthy 3rd down back in terms of pass protection, picking up free runners. But he's not explosive enough. You can't throw him the ball or hand the ball off and expect anything more than
it's not what I saw last week.
4 yards. So.
Not what I saw last week with those hands.
Propaganda.
All right, wide receivers, keeping 6 again. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Brandon Powell, Trent Sherfield Sr., who was signed from the Bills, who is more of he's a special teams guy, and he's also known for his blocking, which is actually in this business incredibly important.
Yeah.
Jalen Naylor, who they've always liked, but he seems like he's hurt a lot. He was certainly he was out last week because of illness, so that might change. But for now, he is my wide receiver 5. And then my 6th guy for now is Tristan Jackson, in part because he is a former Ram. He knows what Kevin O'Connell wants. he was around here last year as well. So not making the team from a wide receiver standpoint. Devron Harper, Lucky Jackson, Ty James, Jashawn Jones, Malik Knowles, and Thayer Thomas.
Boy.
That goes rookie, second-year guy, rookie, first-year guy, first-year guy.
This is the most top-heavy room in the entire complex. I mean, this is... You've got the best wide receiver, one of the greatest to ever do it in Justin Jefferson. You've got a really good number 2 young ascending Jordan Addison.
Yep.
And then a bunch of random journeyman dudes or young guys like Jalen Naylor who've yet to prove it. I'm a Brandon Powell stan, but you don't have a number 3 wide receiver on this team right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that an unfair statement? You do not have a number 3 wide receiver.
Totally fair. I think Powell and Sherfield both could be 4s. But so here's the fun thing in training camp, though, you guys. Does one of the guys that I potentially even cut pull away? Like, does somebody... I mean, Phil, we have seen in the multiple training camps we have covered, we have seen wide receivers emerge big time. So I guess I'm sort of excited.
Could Lucky Jackson
exactly. Yeah. Malik Knowles. Could he show out? Lucky Jackson. Yeah, so I am curious to see that. But to your point right now, yes, they do not have anyone who would have been the KJ Osborne of 2023, which was he's your third guy. You're right.
Every one of these guys from Powell on down is fully healthy and playing at their peak potential, who should be the number 3 receiver? Jalen Naylor?
Probably Naylor. Naylor wasn't at mini camp, right?
Yeah, no, he was sick. He's never on the field.
He's always hurt or sick or hamstring or a cough or something like.
Yep. I feel like the clock is ticking there because at some point in time, if you're not available, you can't be trusted, right?
You can't make the club in a tub, as Brad Childress used to say, right?
Or in bed.
You can't make the
thermometer in your mouth.
We need a rhyme for bed or something bed related that rhymes with roster. I don't know. We'll work on it.
And I think there's also a question, outside chance, do they evaluate this depth chart and possibly go out and find a veteran presence to be a 3?
Yeah. There's just,
and they've always done that. Like, the D.D. Westbrooks, and I know he was also a punt returner, who Kendall Wright of the Bears, like, didn't even make the roster. Like, they've always been the market for like this random third wide receiver. And it just never ends up working out. So honestly, I would rather just have the dartboard throws of your UDFAs and your second-year guys, and hopefully one of those guys emerges.
I agree with Declan. Is there somebody just kind of under the radar? I mean, who's the next? Is there like a diet Adam Thielen somewhere on this depth chart that goes from undrafted? But it's not a position in today's NFL. Wide receiver has become one of the most coveted, valuable positions, and there's more wide receiver talent coming out of college football, which we've talked about the last few weeks. But it's not like there's just a bunch of dudes you can find a guard on the waiver wire to fill out your depth. You can't find a number 3 wide receiver just off there's no team in the NFL that is so stacked at receiver when they put together their 53 that they're flat cutting a number 3 wide receiver. So, but it's nice to have the best in the entire league at the top of
your top 2 are damn good. That is true.
Yeah. The problem is like if one of them gets hurt for 7 games or something. So
potentially huge trouble. Yep. Huge trouble. All right. Tight end. This is the most interesting one in this way. TJ Hawkinson is not going to play when the regular season opens, and we don't know how long he's going to be out. Could it be 4 games? Could it be 7 games, right? And so this is a projected 53 for opening day. So in this world, I have to find a way to have the right number of tight ends, and Hawkinson is either going to start the season on IR or the PUP. So I am not cutting him, folks. He just right now is on the shelf because he's hurt. So here are my 4 tight ends. Josh Oliver, followed by the best third tight end in the entire world, Johnny Munt, Nick Muse, and Robert Tonyan.
Oh.
Trey Knox, Sammy, I believe it's Reyes, and N'Keal Harry are out. So they kept 4 tight ends. This is a apples to apples. They kept 4 tight ends a year ago. Muse, again, did not participate in minicamp because I believe he was ill as well or injured.
Yeah.
So that's an outside one. I don't know for sure there. But
so essentially, Tanyan as a guy who's been a red zone target.
He's a holding pattern guy. I believe he led all tight ends. It was Phil, 2020 with the Packers with 12 catches.
Touchdowns.
Last year, touchdowns, excuse me. Mm-hmm. He's in Chicago last year. It's a complete bust, but it was Chicago. So again, as I told you guys last week, it's really hard for me to judge. Like, the Bears were a mess. He looked good. He definitely looked polished during the 3 days of practices last week. So for now, I'm giving that spot to Tunyon almost as a holding place for Hawkinson's spot.
So the N'Keal Harry experiment doesn't go well enough the next month and a half, 2 months to.
I think Tunyon just knows more what he's doing. So, like, I appreciate the move, but in Harry's case, he's trying to learn as he talked about. There's a different stance. There's different things that you have to do. There's more blocking involved, obviously, than playing receiver outside. And so I think the fact that he comes as a ready-made tight end, and again, when Hawkinson comes back, this entire thing could flip. It could change. I think it makes Tunyon the favorite. And from what I saw last week, he impressed enough that if he continues that in training camp, I think he's in pretty good shape.
Okay. All right, let's get to the trenches here. Let's get to the we're offensive line next year.
8 offensive linemen, same as last year, kept on the opening day roster. Garrett Bradbury, Blake Brandel, Christian Darrisaw, Ed Ingram, Brian O'Neill. So those are your 5 starters, okay? Your backups are David Quessenberry, who was a backup last year, who is listed as a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Feeney, who actually made 16. Feeney. Mr. Feeney made 16 starts with the Rams at either center or guard in 2018, 19, and 20. So he comes with a wealth of experience.
And a mullet and a mustache.
And a mullet and a mustache.
Great mustache.
And most importantly,
he comes coming off in a couple hours.
He comes with a fan card from the Kevin O'Connell Club. And then the 8th guy is Dalton Reisner being cut. So that means out. And I'll just go through this quickly. Guard Henry Bird, Jeremy Flax, Michael Juergens, a 7th round pick who I think will just be put on the practice squad. I don't think he gets claimed. Doug Nestor, Tyrese Robinson, Spencer Rowland, and this was the guy I almost had making it, Walter Rouse, who was the tackle. I think he is a 6th round pick, who looks the part, but obviously fell a lot. So I think you're going to get Juergens and Rouse through to your practice squad.
Yeah.
So Reisner makes the opening day roster, but I don't know he's going to start. I just think he makes it.
Okay. Yeah, Reisner as a backup is going to be an interesting dynamic because he's been a starter for his entire career. Denver, the guy's played 4,500 snaps in 5 years. So,
yep.
Yeah, but then he's there too. If Blake Brandel struggles, Reisner knows that boom, he can just slot right in. He's under contract. Okay.
Yep. Or if there also is a potential that, let's say a tackle gets hurt, do they trust Brandel to swing out to tackle more than Quessenberry? And now Reisner goes and plays left guard. So
yeah,
there is some flexibility there. So 8 offensive linemen kept. Defensive line. Let's stay in the trenches.
Oh, we're just gonna stay right here. Just gonna flip around to the other.
Brian Flores, meat and potatoes. Let's go.
So these are the down linemen, the defensive linemen, not the edges. Right?
Hand in the dirt. In the dirt. These are the guys that when they're playing at Soldier Field and mud, these guys
the hog mollies
rolling around the mud. Okay, there's 5 of them. Harrison Phillips, Jonathan Bullard, Jaquelin Roy, Jerry Tillery, who was signed. He's the guy who was the 28th overall pick in the 2019 draft by the Chargers, bounced to the Raiders.
Yeah, play like a champion today. Let's go.
Has not found his footing in the National Football League because he hasn't played like a champion necessarily. But and then my last one is a guy who was briefly a Viking. I think it was for one day with Zim, got cut and bounced back to the Rams at that time. Jonah Williams, defensive end. Don't confuse him with the offensive lineman, I believe, for the
actual
Bengals.
Jonah Williams.
The actual Jonah Williams.
That was disrespectful.
This one's hard to find. No, this guy's hard to find. Like every search I did, I got the
Jonah Williams football. Jonah Williams American football. Jonah Williams 300 pounds. Damn it.
Give me a break. So cut Tyler Manoa, Levi Drake Rodriguez.
He's the one, by the way, the 7th round pick, Levi Drake Rodriguez, that is getting a lot of attention as a big time under the radar sleeper.
Yeah.
Texas A&M, whatchamacallit, not the actual Texas A&M.
Right.
Like a smaller version of Texas A&M.
He's the dude who had in his film clips, I think for his home games, a parking lot in the background. Like there was a parking lot behind, there were cars parked behind the end zone, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So, and James Lynch as well.
Oh, James Lynch out.
Yeah, James Lynch. Yeah, James Lynch was on the team a couple of years ago. Tore his ACL, I believe, in one of the scrimmages at TCO in training camp last year, and so I toyed with keeping him, but I actually thought if they, since they just signed Jonah, and since he played for the Rams, KOC seems to like his former Rams, so James Lynch out. So 5 defensive linemen being kept. Jaquelin Roy, to me, is the interesting one.
Yep.
I think he could emerge a bit.
Agreed. I think he has to start emerging, right? Wasn't he a 5th round pick?
Yeah.
Might have been a 4th.
4th or a 5th round pick. It's time to go.
Yeah, we've talked about him a lot on Purple Daily on Draft. I'm curious, once Judd gets to his cornerback room, I have a name I want to bring up because he will be talked about a lot today on today's episode of Purple Daily on Draft. But Jaquelin Roy has been one of our guys of, let's definitely keep an eye on him if he can finally take the next step. He was a 5th round pick too, by the way, in last year's draft.
Yeah, so there, I mean, I feel like 6th and 7th rounders are usually just total crapshoots that could also have been undrafted free agents.
Right.
3rd, 4th, 5th, Danielle Hunter was a 5th round pick, right? Or a 4th or a 5th round pick. Stephon Diggs was a 5th round pick. You can find cornerstone players in that range, and the Vikings need to start hitting on some of these guys. Was Jay Ward the other one you guys were talking about in the secondary room? Jay Ward and Jaquelin Roy are two.
And Jay's a 4th round pick.
Yeah,
yep.
Jay is up there, but it's actually not. So now I'm curious. We'll tease. Okay. We'll see if Judd brings him up.
Okay.
Since we're digging around in the trenches here, if you are a large human being looking for a satisfying meal, why don't you try one of the Red Cow locations in around the Twin Cities? 6 locations in Minnesota. Red Cow has 5 in the Twin Cities. In fact, we just did we post the Purple Over Beers this last weekend?
Saturday. Yeah, our 53-man, our all-time Vikings roster, I believe, our offense, right? It was our offense. Yes.
Yep. It was good stuff.
So it's the 2nd episode of Purple Over Beers at the Red Cow in Uptown. So there's 5 in the Twin Cities, 1 in Rochester. Some of the best bar food you're going to find. No oysters. They do have those at the Red Rabbit for all of you fellow oyster fanatics.
Toity.
Red Cow is wings, it's cheese curds, it's chicken sandwiches, it's burgers, 36 beers on tap, local brews, craft cocktails, and belly up to the bar to watch a line full of TVs for whatever your sports viewing needs are. Red Cow. Also a shout out to our friends at Dennis Kirk. For all you Ragnars out there, it's riding season, 75, 80 degrees, the wind blowing in your braids. Motorcycles, ATVs, UTVs, dirt bikes, you name it, all the top brands. DennisKirk.com has over 185,000 parts, apparel, and accessories for whatever it is that you ride. Same-day shipping and free shipping on orders over $89. They also have a Ride Finder tool where you can enter your make, model, and year and find parts and accessories that will fit whatever that riding device is. DennisKirk.com. Check them out at DennisKirk.com. Okay, back to the defense.
All right. Oh, and to circle back on Levi Drake Rodriguez, Texas A&M Commerce. Texas A&M,
yes.
which has a very nice parking lot right behind its end zone.
Very nice.
All right, so back to the defense, and now let's shift from the guys that have their hand in the ground, the guys that just provide an internal struggle with the guard in the center to the edge rushers. A far more sexy place to be. It's like being on the beach when you're on the edge because you're lining up over here, perhaps in the sand, to go sack a quarterback. 5 of them. Jonathan Grenard, obviously. Andrew Van Ginkel, who I'm expecting to start the season. I'm a little bit concerned about the foot, but I am going to, until we hear that there is a chance, if we show up on day 1 of camp and he's on the pup, we'll go back on this. But for now, Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner. So those are your 3 for sure. And then the 2 that I have them keeping are Andre Carter II, who was among the highest paid UDFAs a year ago.
Yep.
He was in good shape for the Army, but we learned a year ago being in good shape for the Army is not being in good shape for football. So his body should be retooled.
Which
I'm
means,
not joking.
If needed, we're sending all the football players to do our dirty work.
Oh yeah, yeah. Can you imagine Daniil in combat?
Actually, yeah. I could. I
know. I'm saying
I'd
he'd
feel
be like
very safe and protected. If
like
that was
Schwarzenegger. Like, can you imagine with that
Get
body?
to the chopper.
Get to the chopper. I mean, he would like.
We've got to get out of here.
He would literally
get down,
kill guys just with his bare hands. All right. So and then the last one, Judd Ward, who was with the Giants last year, had actually 5 sacks last year. He could be sort of a sleeper. In 8 years, he has 18 sacks. Veteran guy. So he intrigues me. And that means that the 4 that don't make the team, and there's there's 1 or 2, you might consider 2 names to be interesting here. Owen Porter, Bo Richter, Patrick Jones II, which is a very, very interesting cut by yours truly.
It is, but he's not. His pressure rates. He's
You're
just
like, whatever. Yeah, and Gabriel Murphy, who was signed, I believe, out of UCLA, UDFA, paid pretty damn well. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to give, unless Gabriel comes in and is just clearly ahead of Carter, I'm going to give Carter the benefit of the doubt for now. And Murphy might be eventually good, but here's the thing. He didn't get drafted, so I'm also not convinced that you can't get him through to the practice squad.
Yeah.
Because, again, to go back to what we've talked about for a long time now, when those final cuts are made, most teams spend their time focused on keeping their own guys. I mean, the wire is absolutely, and now especially because the cuts all come down at the same time, the wire is flooded with names. So it's not like every team's like, let's sift through the Vikings cuts, right? The Vikings are trying to keep their guys. The Falcons are trying to keep their guys. So Grenard, Van Ginkel, Turner, Carter II, and Ward as the Vikings edge rushers.
So yeah, Judd Ward, former 2nd-round pick, 30 years old now.
It looks like Judd.
It's Judd.
By the way, really? I looked up a pronunciation that was small Juh and then capital Hodd.
Yeah, Judd.
Oh, you're right. You know what? I'm sorry. I messed up here in my pronunciation.
He's a new player.
Yep.
And he was a 2nd-round pick in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
He's never lived up to the billing of where he was drafted. He's bounced around from the Raiders to the Colts to the Ravens, Jackson. This is his 6th or 7th team. He played heavy snaps for the Giants the last couple years. So I think as a starting, that Giants defense, kind of a disaster.
Yep.
And he was not getting a lot of pressures, playing 600, 700 snaps. But as a guy that maybe comes in as just a depth pass rusher, interesting. But he's 30 now, so any sort of attachment to his draft status is irrelevant at this point.
So he could get cut like that.
Yeah.
But he does have experience, and I guess the benefit of the doubt from me as well is if Flores weighed in on signing guys, there's something he clearly liked.
Mm-hmm.
And his specifications to me are pretty unique in some ways. So But yes, this could definitely
6'5", like he's got those long arms.
Exactly.
So
Exactly right. All right, so that's the edge. Now we're talking interior linebackers. So again, not as sexy, but very important and incredibly important when it comes to stopping the run. The Vikings went with 4 of these guys last year, so I'm going to do the same. Okay. Ivan Pace Jr., Blake Cashman, Brian Asamoah, which is more of a special teams thing as well. As big a disappointment as he's been, he's a pretty good special teams guy. And then let's see if I can get this pronunciation right, since, again, I wrote it down phonetically, and hopefully my penmanship here is improved.
Troy Dye.
Troy Dye is no longer here. I think he's a Charger now.
He is.
Sadly, because that was an easy name to pronounce, and he was really good on special teams too.
He's gone, yes.
Camu Grugier-Hill. So it's Camu Grugier-Hill. It's K-A-A. It's phonetically capital K-A-H, and then Mu, small M-O-O, and then it's Gru, G-R-E-W uppercase, and then J, J-A-Y small. Camu Grugier-Hill, which is as far from the pronunciation of the name when I looked at it as I thought possible. But he's interesting because he was with the Carolina Panthers last year. He's a special teams ace as well. Mm-hmm. But because of injuries, and I think the fact the Panthers just stunk, he played 38% of their snaps on defense as well. So the 3 cuts are Abraham Beauplan, KJ Cloyd, and Dallas Gant. So those, I did not just go through 3 names where you're like, oh my God.
Yep. No, I think you're onto it. And obviously, it's not a defense that puts a lot of these dudes on the field. So Pace is going to get snaps, and Cashman, anyone beyond that, it's going to have to be an injury to Pace or Cashman. You're looking at special teamers here, right? And Asamoah, interesting, man. Like, he didn't play a lick defensively last year. So he has to make his living as a special teams player at this point. Ivan Pace jumped in front of him, and Blake Cashman is clearly levels above him. So Asamoah, special teams, or off the roster. But he's a 3rd-round pick, right? So probably
he's a 3rd-round pick from a draft in which your top 2 picks might not make it too.
Yeah.
So I think you're grasping onto whatever potential positives that you can get. And to your point about playing time too, if you keep in mind how much Flores employs his safeties, if Pace or Cashman get hurt, it's not like you have to have another guy step up and play big snaps. Like, as long as one of those 2 is out there, there's a lot of times that this team employs one interior linebacker. So it's not like, oh my God, Cashman's down, Asamoah has to play a ton of snaps. He might play, but it wouldn't be extensively so.
Yep. So, and by the way, Camu Grugier-Hill. It's G-R-U-G-I-E-R. The I-E-R are silent. So it's Camu Grugier-Hill, and he might be a special teams ace on this team. There you go.
Mm-hmm. And he could play. And hell, he might actually be, at the end of the day, since he did play a decent percentage of the Panthers' defensive snaps, he might be the backup. All right, let's get to cornerback. So on cornerback and safety, I altered things a little bit here from last year. The Vikings kept 5 corners and 6 safeties. I'm going to have them keeping six corners and 5 safeties. This is the only place where I made some tweaks in the actual position group and what was kept. All right. So at corner, the 6 guys: Mekhi Blackman, Caleb Evans, Shaq Griffin, Kyrie Jackson. So he's a 4th-round pick, and I think it might be dangerous to assume that he wouldn't get claimed. So if you like him, I think you need to keep him, at least at first. Byron Murphy Jr., and then the special teams ace from last year, who was just outstanding there, Najee Thompson.
Yeah.
So, Thompson, I think, 1, he could play, but 2, he was so good on special teams, you would lose him. So that means that the 4 guys being cut are Andrew Booth Jr.,
wow,
A.J. Green III, Dwight McLaughlin, and Jalen Williams. Obviously, Booth being cut would be a story.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Unless there's like a Byron Murphy trade or something, some crazy curveball.
I don't see it, dude.
I don't either. Or Najee Thompson, they decide, but they Najee Thompson has kind of carved his role.
Yeah, and it's important too.
Yep. And they're not cutting a fourth-round 25-year-old big cornerback in Kyrie Jackson.
Yep.
Dude, it's...
And the one thing that we have to keep in mind, and we just don't know right now when it comes to special teams, is how does the kickoff rule alter things for everyone who plays special teams?
Yeah.
Like, if you're a special teams ace, does it make you... Because, like, the kickoff has literally been out of the league for, what now, 4 years? At least? 5 years?
What do you mean? Like
kicks just don't get returned.
Yeah.
For like 4 or 5 years. Well, now it's back. So, like, the coverage of that, and I know it's going to be, that the guys are going to line up, approximately 5 or 10 yards apart. So it's going to be changed. But the point is the kickoff is back. And so you need to be able to contain it. So I actually think that the price of special teams guys might go up a bit in importance. And I just don't think Booth offers much.
Yeah, I think you're right.
On to Dwight McLaughlin, the UDFA. Yep. So he got some run. I love June overreaction season in minicamp. I know he got some run with the first teamers towards the end of the OTAs on Friday. We're going to talk a lot about him on Purple Daily on Draft because Forno has some takes on him as well. Nice. Went to LSU, Arkansas, second team All-SEC in 2022. Any chance that he does climb the rankings and does make this 53-man roster?
Oh boy, the 6 guys I gave you, I think, are pretty set. Like, if are you? I don't think you're going to, unless he just stinks. I don't think Kyrie Jackson comes off because he's a 4th-round pick again.
Yeah.
Like, if he struggles and puts nothing on tape and just sucks, then it's a possibility. But that's, as much as I think you can sneak probably 5th through 7th round picks, certainly 6th and 7th, and UDFAs onto the practice squad. Kyrie Jackson has length, and Flores is sort of out. It's out there that he likes him, and Brian Flores is coming off a great season as a DC. Yeah. So I think he's safe. And Thompson, if Thompson wasn't so good on special teams, then I think the answer to your question is that becomes a pretty simple exchange. But that dude, what Phil said, he carved that role last year. So I think if I'm going to take my chances, I'm going to take my chances on sneaking Dwight through.
Yeah, because he's undrafted, right? And he's not going to do enough I don't think unless he has like 3 pick sixes or something crazy in the preseason. Is he going to do enough in the preseason to make another team that also passed on him in the entire draft say, wow, we love that guy enough to put him on our 53-man roster? So, yeah, I think you can slide undrafted. I'd love to know how many undrafted free agents have ever been
claimed
before their rookie season for the 53-man roster of another team.
Dex,
if you look that up real quick?
Look that up for us.
I'm really focused on Declan Stats LLC from the Twin Show right now. So the NFL ones, the research ones are going to take a little bit longer.
We could tell from your texts. Yeah, you were all over it this weekend.
So safeties are the final group here.
Kickers and punters are after.
Okay. The final group of actual football players.
I got a surprise at punter. All right, so 5 safeties. So again, last year it was 6. This year, just going off the roster right now, I'm projecting 5 safeties. Harrison Smith, Cam Bynum, Josh Metellus, Theo Jackson, who I think that they love, and Jay Ward. That only leaves 1 safety left, and I think he's at the bottom of the depth chart right now, and I think he's gone. Lewis Seen.
Yikes.
Offers less on special teams than Booth. He is still, like, make no mistake, you guys, he is still, there's nothing I've seen that says, you know what, I think he's ascending the depth chart. I tried to get excited a year ago, shame on me. But I think they keep Ward. Ward had a rash of penalties on special teams a year ago that I think drove them crazy, but I do think there's some talent there.
Yeah.
And he was paired with Seen a lot on defense, but I got the idea that he was ahead of Seen on the depth chart. So Smith, Bynum, Metellus, Jackson, and Ward make it, and I am showing Seen and Booth the door on the same day.
Yeah, the way you lay it out, it seems likely that that's going to happen. And then as far as other players in the 2020, just to answer Dex's question about could there be a surprise if McLaughlin was to make the team? I actually think a Caleb Evans would be the next guy in danger, because I know they played him for 800 snaps last year, and he's been starting the early portion of the offseason as one of the outside cornerbacks, but he has not been great. He's had some injury and concussion problems too. I think he makes the team. I'm just saying, like,
interesting.
That's a 2022 draft pick that is, kind of on the fence right now. Asamoah, it's not looking good. So there it is. Judd's 53-man. Oh, sorry. We have 50 so far. Yeah, we'll get you 3 more here in a second. After we shout out our friends at Nicolay Law, the exclusive personal injury law firm. If you feel like you've been snubbed from this 53, maybe you're a specialist. Maybe you should call Nicolay Law. Actually, if you've been injured, that's where you want to call Nicolay Law, so they can get you the compensation you deserve after an accident throws your life upside down. Nicolay Law, proud to serve the Twin Cities community, proud to be associated with Purple fans all over the metro area, and proud to help you start your path to winning at nicolaylaw.com, or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. Okay. The final 3 spots.
All right.
Special
teams. First of all, your kicker. Not a surprise here. You draft a kicker, you're going to keep him. Will Reichard is your kicker. But at punter, I have a change. Big-legged Seth Vernon beating out Ryan Wright. Now, Ryan Wright, as we talked about at some point a week ago in Judd's camp notes, appears to have dropped 15 to 20 pounds. He was in bad shape a year ago as far as his shape went. Like, he was fine as a person. He's in bad shape.
As Ron Gardenhire once said, he's in A shape.
Yes.
Is Maharis in shape? He's in A shape.
He had gone Rich Garces. So I've got in a surprise, I think, a little bit of surprise, Seth Vernon beating out Ryan Wright. Andrew DePaula is the long snapper. John Parker Romo, the free agent kicker, being cut as well. So that is your 53, gentlemen.
There it is. Some surprises, some sad goodbyes to 2022.
Some mispronunciations from me. That's all coming together.
Yep. Some misreading of the pronunciation guide, but that's okay.
No, actually, it was my own. I did fine with that. It's then when I tried to write my notes down that I screwed it up.
Yeah.
I did see people are still trying to figure out if it's Josh McCown or McCowan, and I'm pretty.
It's McCown.
McCown. Yeah, I goofed.
Why is there a question about that?
Judd was calling him McCowan for the.
Yeah, I said McCowan at one point. It's McCowan. Yeah, I went back and looked at the. I watched a reel of highlights, and McCowan.
I mean, he's only been around for 20 years.
Well, but in my defense, not as a real. I mean, this is
very infamous in Vikings history. I mean,
I wasn't watching that game. Don't forget, I was in in Green Bay covering the NFC North champion Packers, kicking the Broncos' ass that day.
But I mean, everyone knows that play.
Everyone knows that
knows
play.
The call.
Well, yeah, but that's just no. I think
what we've learned on this episode is take Judd's pronunciation guide with a grain of salt. You never know. Is it really Justin Jefferson, or have we been saying? Why didn't you find the scoop?
Jefferson. McCown. Just got to draw that there. Like I worked on this. McCown.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Nice job. Off-season workouts are for everyone, even people with microphones. So, all right, that's a wrap.
Got that right.
53-man roster. We hope to have a fun special guest on Purple Daily this week. And keep sending your snake draft ideas for Feedback Friday, too. They've been all the rage. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die around here.